Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks with me, Antonow too. And today I've got my 8th World of Tanks tutorial for you guys, and it will be about crew experience and generally all about crew stuff, crew skills, crew experience, crew training, whatever. Anyway, the deal is that each tank has got a crew, and there are 5 different crew members basically. There's a commander, a gunner, a driver, a radio operator and a loader. Some tanks have got less crew members, like say they haven't got a radio operator, but for example the commander also is the radio operator, so like one crew member takes over the job of 2 crew members. There are even tanks with only 2 crew members in them, so that say each crew member has to take over the job of 2 other crew members. Like for example the ELCAMX has only got 2 crew members, and the commander is only the commander, while the driver is also the radio operator, the gunner and the loader, I think. Then of course there are also tanks with a lot more crew than 5, so like that would be for example the E100, which has well, I'm not quite sure because I haven't got an E100, but or for example you can also take the KV3, for example. It's got 2 loaders instead of 1 and so on, because their ammunition is that heavy, or I don't know. Anyway, the thing is, when you first buy your tank, you can choose how high the rate of your crew training should be. So you can get your crew at 50% training, that's for free. Of course you still have to pay for the tank, but it doesn't cost extra for the crew. Then you can buy a crew with 75% skill, which costs you 20,000 credits for every crew member. And then you can buy them with 100% to their basic skill, which costs you 200 gold. And I wouldn't recommend you to buy your crew members with gold, because if you want to have them at a better rate, like at a better percentage when you get them, buy them with credits. But you can they learn the basic skill pretty quickly, so you don't really need to spend any money on your crew. 50%'s totally alright. And the thing is, if you're grinding down a tech tree, like for example let's say you're going down the American heavy tank line, then if you're in your right mind, you'll only be buying your crew once for the T1, or actually you won't be buying a crew at all, because you've got your crew already on the T1, because that's the first tank you've got. And then you over time retrain your crew the higher you go in the tiers. And the thing is, a small percentage of the experience that you earn in a battle is used to train your crew, and then this percentage here gets bigger. So at some point you'll have 100% of this basic. The higher the percentage of your basic skill is, the better your crew will be at what it's supposed to do. So for example, if your commander reaches 100%, that has a positive effect on everything on your tank. So all the other crew members benefit from the qualification of your commander. Then your gunner has an effect. The qualification degree of your gunner has an effect on your aiming time and your accuracy. The qualification of a driver has got an effect on how good your tank accelerates and so on. The qualification of your radio operator determines how far you can signal, and the loader influences the reload time. So it's all pretty logical. And then once you reach 100% with all your crew, you unlock the first set of skills and perks, and these you can choose a skill or a perk for that. And skills and perks also give you an advantage in battles. Then you can have, actually there isn't a limitation to how many skills you can have. Okay, there is a limitation on skills that are available, but you can have every skill on every crew member basically. There isn't a limitation. And then what I was about to say is that you don't want to lose your crew, because your crew carries on learning, and you don't want to lose your, like, say in my AMX ACMLE 48, when I research the Whatch and I have to sell this tank to in order to be able to finance the Whatch, and then I obviously don't want to lose this crew, because my crew is pretty good. It's got 100%, then it's got the first set of skills nearly complete. So what I do is I retrain this crew for the Whatch, and the way that works is you go to the personal file, go on to training, and then up here you can select the vehicle type. So if you want to train them for a medium tank, a light tank, heavy tank, TD, or an SPG. Now the thing is that your crew loses, like your basic crew skill gets reset a bit when you retrain your crew, because that's kind of logical, because they still kind of know how to drive a tank and so on, but they still have to adapt to exactly that type of tank that you want to train them for. So that makes sense. And the thing is that when you retrain them to work on a vehicle that's the same type as the vehicle that they worked on before, so that would be the tank destroyer in this case, they lose less experience than if you train them for another type. So the reset is bigger when you train them for, say, a medium tank or a heavy tank or whatever. And again, you can choose when you retrain them. So first of all, after you've chosen the vehicle type, you can choose the exact vehicle you want to train them for. I haven't researched the Whatch yet, that's why the Whatch, it doesn't say Whatch here, but if I had researched the Whatch, it would say, and then I could pick the Whatch. You can also say current vehicle if you've got the crew already on that tank you want them on, and then you can choose again if you want to have it reset to 80% for free, 90% that costs 20,000 credits, and 100% costs 200 credits, 200 gold. I don't really see the point of this either. Just go for 80%. 80% is grand. It'll take you only, say, at the most half a week or a week till you've got back to 100%. So there's no point in getting 90, and not at all in getting 100%, because it just costs you gold, and there are a lot better things to buy for your gold. Yeah. So another thing you can do is you can also send your crew to the barracks if you don't need them at the moment, but you might need them later. To do that, you just right click on your crew, on the crew member you want to send to the barracks, and then you click send to barracks. You can also send your entire crew to the barracks, or you can also dismiss your crew, then that crew member is away and gone forever, which you should think twice about, because your crew, it's very nice to keep your crew all the way through. Yeah, then also you can click on the personal file for your crew. That tells you, that gives you some good, some interesting information on that specific crew member. Yeah, and you can also change the name of your crew member and the way he looks. That costs 50 gold. I wouldn't recommend that, because nobody cares how your crew member's called and how he looks like. So just don't bother about that. Anyway, the reason we're here really is not to talk about what you can do with your crew, but the main reason I'm doing this tutorial for is to talk about crew skills and perks. As I already said, once your crew reaches 100%, you unlock the first set of skills and perks, and you get a kind of a plus symbol down here, and you click on that, and then you come to this window here. You can also go to it by the way I went now, and you can choose a skill or a perk for your crew, and skills and perks affect your you get benefits, in battle benefits from your skills and perks. The difference between skills and perks are that skills, like when you choose a skill or a perk, it starts off by 0%, and then your crew learns and learns and learns, and at some time it will reach 100%. Then your second set of skills and perks are unlocked. Then you can learn another skill or another perk from 0%, and it goes on and on forever, really. Now, the difference between skills and perks are that skills have a positive effect on your tank the moment you choose them. So, say repairs, for example, is a skill. That means the moment I choose repairs, and in the first battle directly, it will have a positive effect. So that means my crew will repair damaged modules better straight away. Then there are also perks, and perks only have an effect once they reach 100%. So you don't have a benefit at all till they've reached 100%. But therefore, usually the benefits of perks are better than the benefits of skills. There are basically two different kinds of skills and perks. There are common skills and perks. Common skills and perks you can apply to every crew member. So it doesn't matter if the crew member is a commander, a radio operator, a gunner. It still has the same effect, and the more crew members have got the same ability, the stronger it will affect your gameplay in the tank. Then there are also kind of specific skills and perks that you can only choose for one crew member, and so for example, mentor or recon are skills that only the commander can have and nobody else. Each skill and each perk you can only apply once to your crew members, so each crew member can only have, say, repairs once, and the commander can only have the skill mentor once, or mentor is a skill. So there's a difference there too. And what I'm going to do now is I'm quickly going to show you the different skills and the different perks that there are, and then I'll quickly tell you if they're useful or not, or if I think that they're useful or not, and if I would recommend them, and on what vehicle types I would recommend them. So first of all, we're going to start off with Brothers in Arms. I always call Brothers in Arms BIA because I'm very lazy, and Brothers in Arms is a very long word, so I call it BIA from here on. And the symbol from BIA is this clenched fist, this steel clenched fist. And BIA is a common skill, but it isn't available here anymore because I've already applied it to my entire crew, and as you can see, it's 100%. But actually, BIA isn't a skill, it's a perk. That means it only affects your crew once it's got 100%. And what BIA basically does is it improves the basic job of your crew, of your entire crew, as well as all the skills and perks of your entire crew by 5%. However, BIA only works when every member of the crew has got BIA trained at 100%. Otherwise, BIA has no effect. But therefore, BIA is an awesome perk. I think it's the best. Well, with repairs, next to repairs, it's the best crew skill, or actually a perk, the best thing you can have for your crew, because it just makes everything a lot better. It improves your reload time, your aiming speed, your acceleration, just everything, and also increases every other skill and every other perk that you learn on your crew. So that's very, very nice. Now the thing is, BIA is very, very, very great on heavy tanks, tank destroyers, and SPGs. It hasn't got all that a big effect on medium tanks and light tanks. It's still a nice skill to have, but it isn't that efficient as on heavy tanks and tank destroyers and SPGs. Just because medium tanks and light tanks, they usually have got very high reload times and so on, and because it improves everything by 5%, the effect isn't all that high because the reload time is low anyway. Now the thing is, the reason why I've got BAA on my Super Pershing anyway is because the Super Pershing isn't really a classical medium tank. It's more like a heavy tank really. It plays like a heavy tank. And that's why BAA is a nice skill to have on it, or a perk. It's a nice perk to have on it. And that's why I've got it. And then the next skill, and this time it's a skill, I've got for you is repairs. And again, repairs is already applied to my entire crew on the Super Pershing. That's why it isn't available here, but it's a common skill. And it's a skill, so you don't need 100% for it to have an effect. It also works when it's got only 50% or 20%. And it isn't like BAA. BAA is the only skill that you need your entire crew to have so that it works. Repairs also works when you've got it only on one crew member, but the effect is a lot bigger when you've got it on all crew members. And repairs is an amazing skill to have, especially on medium tanks and heavy tanks. Repairs are, and light tanks too. Repair is absolutely decisive because it really buffs your repair speed of your modules quite a lot. So for example, if your tracks are blown off, you don't want to use a repair kit on your tracks, so your crew repairs it within 2 or 3 seconds, and that's very useful. So I would always recommend repairs for all medium, light and heavy tanks. SPGs and TDs don't need repairs all that much. It's also nice to have on some of them. SPGs never need repairs. Repairs is alright on TDs, but it isn't all that important as on heavies, mediums and light tanks. But repairs is actually my favourite skill because it just helps a lot with repairing modules, and it's a very good skill. And then next we get camouflage, and camouflage is also a common skill. It's very similar to repairs, so it works in the same way as repairs does. Camouflage improves the or it actually reduces the vehicle's visibility, as you can read down here, and that's very useful for snipey tanks that like to sit in bushes and kill enemy tanks at a distance and try not to be seen. Very low profile tanks, like for example my ACMLE 48 has got, like, as you can see, my entire crew is learning camouflage because it's a tank destroyer. It's a kind of a snipey tank destroyer, and it's a very low profile tank destroyer, so everything that helps reduce its visibility is great. I wouldn't recommend camouflage for heavy tanks because heavy tanks are big and they are kind of frontline fighters, so you don't really need camouflage on heavies. You don't need camouflage on high tier SPGs either because it won't have all that much an effect because they are so big that they'll be spotted anyway very quickly with or without camouflage. On low tier SPGs, camouflage is a good idea because they still have a very low profile and are kind of very bad. Like, you have to really try to hide your low tier SPGs, and camouflage really helps with that. But there's some snipey mediums too that camouflage works well on, and camouflage is an amazing skill to have on light tanks because light tanks need their camo values even more than say SPGs or tank destroyers do, because if you're spotting and you're hiding in a bush and trying to light up enemies for your team, then camouflage is really decisive. And the great thing about light tanks is that they use their full camo value even when they're moving, so camouflage helps with that too. So camouflage is an awesome skill to have on TDs, on light tanks, on some medium tanks, and on some SPGs. Next we've got firefighting, And firefighting is a skill that I don't think is all that good, because firefighting again is a common skill that is a skill, so it works at 20% as well, only not as good as 100%. Firefighting isn't all that great, I think, because you're gonna have a firefighter anyway, a fire extinguisher on your tank anyway, probably. So when you burn, you don't want to rely on firefighting to save you. You'll just use your fire extinguisher, and therefore firefighting isn't all that important, and you don't burn all that often. I mean, in tanks like the Tiger, say, where engine fires are pretty happen pretty often, at some stage you should perhaps get this, but it's definitely not one of the first skills you should get. Yeah, so that's got us through all the common skills. Before I come to the specific skills, I just want to quickly give you one last bit of advice. If you look at all my tanks, like for example, you can look at the IS-4. I actually want to give you, I'll give you one tip, yeah. The IS-4, Super Pershing, Leopard Prototype 8. You can see what I've done is I've always gotten Brothers in Arms all in one go, and repairs all in one go. And if you want to get camouflage, like if you look at my ACMLE 48, I've got camouflage more or less all in one go. My commander's training something else, but except for that, all my crew members are learning camouflage at once, because the effect is a lot better if all your crew have got camouflage, and then you just may as well let all your crew learn the same skill at once, as having, like, it isn't very efficient having one of your crew members learning firefighting, the other camouflage, and the next repairs. That isn't all that great, so just do all in one go, and then that will be very efficient. Yeah, so next we'll come to the vehicle specific, not the vehicle specific, the crew member specific skills and perks. So we'll start with the commander. First of all, we've got the skill Mentor, and what Mentor basically does is it helps all your other crew members learn skills and perks quicker. When this skill reaches 100%, you get 10% additional crew experience for all crew members except for the commander. That also helps you when you say your basic skill was reset to say 80% because you retrained your crew. Then Mentor will also help you train that up again. So Mentor is a skill, as I said, so it also affects the tank at or your crew at a low percentage, but when it reaches 100%, you get 10% of benefit from it. I'm not a huge fan of Mentor because I think there are other skills that are more important and perks. If you want to get Mentor, get it as the very first skill for your commander, because otherwise it isn't worthwhile. Yeah. If you find that, if you think crew skills and perks are very important and you want to really kind of get crew skills and perks very quickly, then Mentor maybe is a good idea, but it isn't the most important skill or perk for the commander. Then next we've got Recon, and Recon is a very good skill, I think, especially for kind of tanks that rely on their view range, like scouts. It's also useful for the M48A1 pattern because that's anyway got the most view range in the game, and then improving that view range even more is very good. It's also very good for, say, the Leopard 1 or the Bat Shark, because they often play as scouts. So I can really recommend Recon, but one mistake you shouldn't make is that Recon doesn't improve the view range. It improves the maximum view range. That means the maximum view range in the game is 450 meters. Recon improves that maximum view range so that if you fit things like coated optics, binocular telescope, all that kind of stuff, and it passes 450 meters, then it will still have an effect. So that means you can have 460 meters, 470 meters. I'm not sure how much this skill actually affects the maximum view range, but anyway, it's a great thing to have for tanks that rely on their view range, especially for scouts. And then next we've got Jack of all trades, and that's another skill that I don't really like. Jack of all trades, when it's at 100%, again it's a skill, so it also affects you at a low percentage, but at 100%, Jack of all trades, well, the thing is, the way Jack of all trades works is that when one of your crew members die in battle, then your commander can replace him. But the problem is that, say for example, if your gunner dies, then your commander will try to replace him, but obviously your commander can't to 100% replace your gunner, so he will replace your gunner to 50%, and he will only be using your doing the commander skill at 50% then as well. So that means that it will be as if you've got a 50% commander and a 50% gunner, like just when you, it will be just as when you bought your tank first. But then when 3 of your crew members die, then your commander will be replacing all of them by 25% and doing his own skill or his own basic skill at 25% too, as well as over perks and skills and so on. So I hope you understand how this works, and that's what kind of kills Jack of all trades for me, because it's better to have just one dead crew member and therefore having a commander that still works at 100% than having kind of 2 half crew members. At least that's what I think. So I think Jack of all trades, no, I can't recommend this skill. I mean, in tanks that get a lot of crew members killed, like say the Leopard tanks, because they haven't got any armor, or the French tanks, Jack of all trades, you could get that sometime, but it isn't one of the first skills you should get. Then next we've got Eagle Eye, and what Eagle Eye does is it shows you, Eagle Eye by the way is a perk, and it shows you, like when you mouse over an enemy tank, it's always illuminated, and then in this illumination, when you've got Eagle Eye, you can see what modules are damaged on that enemy tank. Now, that can be useful if you see, for example, that his gun is damaged or his ammo rack. Especially seeing that his ammo rack's damaged can be very, very useful in single combat. But, yeah, I would perhaps get that as 4th skill or something like a 4th perk. But, it's again not something that I would get at in the 1st or 2nd slot. And then last we've got 6th Sense, and 6th Sense is a perk that I really, really love. What 6th Sense basically does is once it reaches 100%, always when you're scouted, with a 3-second delay, this bulb kicks in at the top of your HUD, and that shows you that you've been spotted. And that's very, very useful, especially for heavy tanks, for example, that have got problems with artillery. 6th Sense is great. It's very, very good for arty, because once arty is spotted, you should really try to run, because otherwise the enemy arty will counter you, or yeah, you'll be sniped. It's also very, very good for tank destroyers, for sniping tank destroyers. It's great for any kind of sniping tank, really. It's good for artillery. It's great for scouts that, spot enemies by hiding in bushes and try to, light them up like that. So 6th Sense is amazing. It's if you're kind of more an active scouter, like you try to do roaming or a rush tactic with your scouts, 6th Sense isn't all that great, because you'll know when you're spotted anyway, and it doesn't really matter all that much if you're spotted or not. So depends on how you want to play your tank and what tank you're playing, but usually 6th Sense is an amazing skill, not perk, amazing perk. Yeah, so that's that does us for the commander. Next comes the gunner,
And the gunner's got a set of quite interesting skills. So the first one is designated target, and that's, I don't really like this perk because what it does is it lets your the target you've acquired, so the target you're aiming at, once it drops off your radar, it makes it visible for another 2 seconds, which we can have it at some stage, but it isn't that useful really. And then armorer is the next one. That's it's a skill, and it improves the accuracy of a damaged gun. Now, I think that's quite a nice skill, especially for tanks like, for example, the Super Pershing or the Jagdpanther, stuff like that. All these tanks that get their gun damaged very, very often. Armorer is a great thing, because I've had games in my Super Pershing where I've had quite a few games. It's a very common thing. It happens like 25% of the time that my gun's damaged in a game. And in quite a few games as well, I experienced that my gun's damaged. I obviously repair it because I hate having damaged guns. And then straight away, my gun's damaged again, and now I haven't gotten a repair kit anymore, so I can't do anything about it. So armorer might be a good idea on these tanks. I've never had armorer as a skill yet, so I can't report on how well it works. But I'm probably going to get it at some stage for my Super Pershing, because it's a real problem with this tank. Then next we've got Deadeye, and I love Deadeye. Deadeye, the effect of Deadeye is that you damage, the chance of damaging enemy modules with your shells is increased, and that's a great perk. Actually, it is a perk, isn't it? Yeah, it's a perk. It's a great perk because you know, damaging modules is quite important, and you know, it can really help win a battle or a duel. Like, especially damaging ammo racks and so on is just amazing. And, you know, just blowing up ammo racks again and again, it's just great. So, getting Deadeye, I can really recommend getting Deadeye, especially for tank destroyers and SPGs. Deadeye is really great, especially for SPGs. I can really recommend Deadeye. Then next we've got by the way, I wouldn't recommend Deadeye for light tanks, for example, because light tanks aren't really about the guns anyway. So the same as armorer, I wouldn't recommend armorer either for light tanks. Then snapshot is next, and snapshot is actually my favourite skill for the gunner. Snapshot basically it's just the same as a vertical stabilizer. It improves your accuracy while you're turning the turret. And in addition to vertical stabilizer, this is a great skill to have. And there's also a skill of a driver. I'm going to come to that just in a second, which is more or less the same. So a snapshot is a great skill, especially for fast tanks, like medium tanks, especially in light tanks. Snapshot is great. Artillery and tank destroyers don't really need snapshot all that much. One thing that some of you guys would maybe be wondering about is, how does snapshot work for tank destroyers and SPGs, because they haven't got a turret? Well, tank destroyers and SPGs can kind of swivel their gun around a bit, and the accuracy loss while during this gun traverse becomes less when you've got snapshot on your gunner in a tank destroyer or an arty. Yeah, so now we've finished with the gunner, we'll move on to the driver. And the driver's got an amazing set of skills. And this time I'll start with this skill here, Smooth Ride, because it's very similar to Snapshot. It improves your accuracy while on the ride, or while on the move. And that's great, especially in combination with Snapshot and Vertical Stabilizer. That's a very, very useful skill to have. It's again, very useful on medium tanks and light tanks especially. Not all that much on like lumbering tanks, like on very slow tanks. Although it's also very useful on tanks with a long aiming time, like say the T-34 or the E-100 for example, because that improves the aiming time. Because your aiming circle just starts off smaller, so the aiming time's reduced obviously as well. But that's not the only great skill or perk that the drivers got, because the drivers actually only got great skills and perks. The first one being controlled impact, and controlled impact is a great skill to have if you do a lot of ramming, because it improves your ramming damage, and it also like when you ram an enemy, it also minimizes the damage that you take by ramming. So that's a very nice skill to have, especially for kind of fast heavy tanks and kind of heavy medium tanks. And then off-road driving is also nice, because off-road driving is a skill that lessens your terrain, tough terrain or soft terrain resistance. So if you're moving over swamps, water, climbing hills, all that kind of stuff, difficult terrain, you'll be faster and more maneuverable on those grounds. That's especially important for medium tanks, light tanks, all those tanks that depend on their speed. Because if you're just trying to circle an enemy and you quickly have to go through a swamp and he catches you with his turret just because you have to go through a swamp, that's a real shame. So off-road driving is a great skill to have on those kind of tanks. Next we've got the only perk of a driver, which is preventative maintenance, and that just reduces the chance of engine fires. And that's, well, it depends on your tank. There are tanks like, say, the Leopard tanks that nearly never burn, because the motors have only got a chance of catching fire of 12% or something like that. But then in tanks like all the German tanks, preventative maintenance is really, really important. Like all these other German tanks that can be set on fire by shots through their lower glaciers. Preventative maintenance is actually nearly decisive. So I really recommend preventative maintenance for tanks like the Tiger, Tiger 2, all the E tanks, the Yak Tiger, all those tanks. Then last we've got clutch braking, and clutch braking improves your traverse speed when it reaches it's a skill, but when it reaches 100%, it improves your traverse speed at it improves your traverse speed 5%. So the thing is, this skill affects light tanks and tanks with a good traverse speed better than tanks with a bad traverse speed, because 5% of a high traverse speed is more than 5% of a low traverse speed, obviously. So it's a great skill to have on especially tanks like the T50-2. Well, okay, that's not going to exist anymore after patch 8.7, but anyway, just tanks like that have got bad traverse speed. All the French light tanks, for example, that kind of have got problems with getting corners, like taking sharp corners and so on. And it's good on like kind of tanks I would recommend it for tanks who've got the slow traverse speed as well, because it just helps buff that a bit, and every little helps. So the radio operator is next. I sent him back to the barracks. Oops, I didn't want to do that. So no, he's the wrong one. Sorry for this. Just clicked the wrong button here. So the radio operator is the next, and I think the skills and perks of a radio operator are pretty nice. At least two of them are, which are situational awareness and signal boosting. Situational awareness extends your view range, so it's a great skill to use together with recon, and it's good together with coated optics or binocs. It's a skill, so it also has an effect on low percentage, and that's very important for SPGs, for example, for scouts, for sniping tanks. It's not all that important for brawling medium tanks and heavy tanks, but for snipers and SPGs and light tanks, situation awareness is important. It's just the same with signal boosting. Signal boosting is very important for snipers, SPGs especially, and light tanks as well. Not all that much for brawling tanks, but it's a great skill to have on any tank because it just extends your view range. That's great. The other two skills, or this is actually a perk, this is a skill, this is a perk, and Call for Vengeance. Well, I don't think it's that useful really. It enables your radio operator to transmit the positions of enemy tanks 2 seconds after you've died. If you're a scout, you could get it at some stage, but it isn't a must-have or anything. Then relaying is a skill, and well, it can be kind of useful in platoons, I guess. It extends the view range of no, not the view range of radios, so the signal range of allied tanks that are close to your tank. Yeah, it isn't all that important, but if you're a platoon player a lot and you stick together with your platoon mates a lot, why not? But it isn't one of the important skills. But situation awareness and signal boosting are two very great skills. And last of all, we come to the loader, and well, the loader's skills are, well, they actually aren't skills. The loader's only got perks, and they are pretty disappointing, I think. His perks are Intuition, Adrenaline Rush, and Safe Storage. We'll start with Intuition, and what Intuition does is, if you switch between bullet types, there's a small chance that the right shell will already be loaded when you switch. Yeah, if you switch a lot, that might be useful, but I can't really recommend this perk. Then Adrenaline Rush is kind of okay. What this does is it buffs your reload time once your health sinks beneath 10%. This skill is pretty effective with gun lane drive, and well, it depends on your tank. If you're driving something like a mouse, for example, with a great chunk of hit points, this is a good idea because it can happen that your health sinks beneath 300%. But if you're driving something like, for example, say you're driving an AMX 50 Foch with 2,000 hit points, or I think it's only got 1,950. Anyway, something like that. If you're driving something with around 2,000 hit points in a tier 10 game, the chances that your hit points drop beneath 200 in a tier 10 match are kind of lowish, because most of those guns deal about 500 damage, so that doesn't happen all that often. That's why I don't think this skills this perk is that great. It can be useful for artillery and clan wars, because what a lot of teams do in clan wars is they shoot their artillery, and their artillery takes Adrenaline Rush. Then they shoot their artillery down to 10% at the start of the game or the match, and then the artillery reloads faster for the rest of the game. That can be very useful, but it only works if you're a Clan Wars player, because try to explain that to a random team. Yeah, I want to see you do that. If any of you manages that, please tell me in the comments. Yeah, so for artillery players in Clan Wars, why not? Otherwise. Then last of all, we've got Safe Storage, and I like Safe Storage. That's the only perk of a loader that I think is really, really useful. It's especially useful for tanks that have got a problem with ammo racking, like say the Leopard like the Leopard tanks. Like you can see, I've got Safe Storage here straight away, because this tank just gets ammo racked in like it gets ammo racked every second game. So save storage, and what it does is just increases your ammo rack durability. So that's it's a perk again. So it only works if you've got 100%, and yeah, you don't really need it on tanks like the Mouse or the E100 that are, you know, kind of just pure armor really. But on tanks that easily get ammo racked, that's a good idea. Yeah, so we've through all the skills and perks, and there's the last thing that I want to tell you, or that three things are left, then we're finished. The first thing being that what I usually do when I get skilled, like for example Brothers in Arms, what I did on my IS4 is I first of all trained repairs as the very first skill. Then I trained other skills as the second skill. And then once I had my second skill on 30%, my first skill on 100%, my second skill on 30%, I swapped, like I dropped my skills, and then I swapped that for Brothers in Arms. The way you do that is you go to Personal File, you go to, or you can just click Drop here, then you go to Skills, and you choose New Skills. Then if you click Drop here, you can again choose if you want to drop it for free. Then that will drop your crew skill down to 80%. If you want to have it for 90% for 20,000 or 100% for 200 gold. Then you choose what you want and you click Drop, and then you can just kind of swap your old skills for new skills. You don't this dropping your skills and perks doesn't affect your basic experience level. It only affects the experience level of your skills and perks. So by doing that, you can avoid grinding up your crew experience for until your perks reach 100%, because it takes quite a while, and that's quite a nice tactic if you just start off with, say, repairs for all of your crew. Once your repairs reach 100%, just swap them for Brothers in Arms or another perk if you want perks. That's a pretty nice tactic. Then there are only two things left now. The first one being that if I hover over my commander in my super Pershing, it says, if you look down here, well, okay, I can't, but it says that it's the commander of M4 Sherman. And if you look at the M4 Sherman in his garage slot, you can see it says crew incomplete. And then in this pop-up window here, it says this crew member is not trained for the T26E4. However, he can use his skills and perks because he is on a premium vehicle of the right type. What this basically means is that you can put your crew from tanks of the same type and the same country into the crew slots of your premium tanks without having to retrain them. And besides their credit earning potential, that's the reason why that's the second reason why people buy premium tanks to train their crew. And because, you know, especially once you've got tier 10 tanks, you won't be driving them all that much anymore because they just don't lead anywhere anymore. But with the premium tanks, you'll still be making piles of money, so you want to play them for farming. And then you can put your crew from your tier 10 tank into your premium tank and train it. So that's very useful. And speaking of crew training, you can also accelerate your crew training by ticking this little box up here. And what that basically does is it uses all your experience you earn in a battle for training your crew. Everything you earn and all the experience you earn will be used for crew training. You won't receive any experience except for the 5% free experience you get for the battle. You'll only get crew experience. So that can be useful if you don't want to convert the experience you earn on the vehicle. That can be useful if you don't want to convert the experience you earn on your tank, but if you want to just use it for crew training. But you can only activate this button if your tank is elite. That means if you've researched everything in the vehicle specific tech tree. Yeah, so that brings this episode, or not this episode, this World of Tanks tutorial to an end. And yeah, thanks for watching a lot. My next tutorial will probably be on complex equipment and on the service box. So watch out for that, and thanks for watching. Follow me on Facebook, and I see you next time. Bye bye.